Hey guys, this is Bad Al with a tutorial on decompiling Lua for Star Wars Battlefront II. As a Battlefront II modder, you'll no doubt have had to write some Lua code. Here's some Lua code right here. If you don't know what this Lua code does, well, you should definitely at least understand this before you start to tackle this decompiling process. In order to decompile Lua, I've put together a download package on my GitHub. Let me bring that up. So on my Bad Al Star Wars Battlefront II Xbox mod effort, I have in the releases code recovery tools. You want to down the Swbf2 Tool 0.5.2.zip file. That has some tools in there that I use to decompile Lua. Let's take a look at, I've got this folder set up here. Okay, here I've downloaded it already. Now let's go to extract it. Okay, let's go inside. So in here, we have a few programs. We have lua.exe. This is a Lua interpreter. This is a 5.0.2 Lua interpreter that you can use from the command line to test out Lua. This Luac right here, this is the Lua compiler that ships with the Battlefront 2 mod tools. Right here, this is Swbf2 Tool. And this is Swbf2 Code Helper. This is a partial decompiler right here. It works sometimes on simple stuff. Usually the mission scripts, which is what I coded it to target, but I didn't ever finish the decompiler. We also have these PDB files in here, and it helps us get better error reporting when something goes wrong. This README tells, put it over here. The README tells about the package. I'm not going to go over it anymore because I'm going to do it visually. And this document right here, a no frills intro to Lua 5 VM instructions. This is going to be your Bible for decompiling Lua. Let's take a look at this one. This document here, if you're going to attempt to decompile Lua, you're going to need to go through this document. It has all the basics on what all the instructions that we are going to be looking at do. Yeah, this is the entire instruction set for Lua 5.0.2. It's not very big, which is actually very nice for us, which means that we don't have to know, hundreds of instructions. We got to know these 35 instructions. I'll get back to this in just a bit, but I'd like to go over Swbf2 Tool. So let's open that one up. Okay, so this is what the GUI looks like. It's got it's got this bar right here with the cursor. The show help shows you a little bit about. It's a very busy help message. It shows you. I wanted to show as much information as I possibly could. in here. And this red thing in red is important right here. It must have mod tools installed at C BF2 mod tools in order to work properly. That's sort of true. It it does reference the tools from there, but let me open up a command window. Um, it needs to reference the mod tools at C BF2 mod tools, but if you don't have it installed there, you can also use the command line to make a link to that directory. We use the command mklink, and if we wanted to know how to do that from the command line, the standard Windows way of getting the program's help messages was this slash question mark right there. So we will take a look at what the help message says. Okay, make a link. Creates a symbolic link. Okay, and then we have these different options: D, H, and J. I use J. So when that's a junction. So if we're going to make a link to BF2 mod tools, let me see here. What do I got? Actually, I have BF2 mod tools in this. Let me go to PS2. Okay. Let's see. Now let's make a link to BF2 mod tools in here. So let me get that. So it's make link. So this isn't where you're going to want to put it, but this is just a demonstration of how to make the link. So we'll do make link. And I have it at Z. And then we're just going to call it, this is the link to mod tools. And if you get the accesses denied, you might. So you need to start it up as an administrator. Okay, let's see here. Let's make link slash J Z BF2 mod tools, and then we'll do already exists. Maybe I screwed that command up. I had it reversed. Okay. Okay. My bad, sorry about that. And this lets us know that a junction has been created. So if you don't have it installed at c:/mod tools, I didn't link to that one here. I already have that link set up. But you can either use MakeLink or you can just put it there. And we just really we're looking for the code and the, I don't think we need the tools. I think just the code it's looking for. Okay, so let's dismiss this. Let's take a look at the PC version, some of the code for that, so that I can show you some of the features here in this in the tool. Okay. Let's take a look at, start off with mission. Okay. So we've loaded up mission, and then it auto-populates this box right here. This is going to list all of the Lua scripts that it finds in the LVL loaded up here. Let's click on one of them. Setup teams. Okay. As the help message also says, when you see this, it indicates that the PC version compiled code matches the compiled source code in the current LVL. And then in this case, it's not a binary equal in the example here in the form. But when you see this binary equal, it means the code is unchanged. What this browser does is it will, in this case, what it just did is it looked for setupteams.lua under our mod tools directory, and it found it. The PC mod tools, they ship with you know, all of the scripts used for the game, and it found setup teams. This code that it's showing right here is from, you know, from this directory right here. That's where it found it. This information right here, this basically, this is telling us the size. There is, okay, so kind of telling us the size. Location in the LVL. This stuff isn't usually terribly interesting for me, but another thing that it can do is it can show the Luac listing. And let's see here, like this. Press on this radio button. Now it shows the Luac listing. Now this is of the code that's inside the file it's selected. This is not the PC code. So this is interesting. And then in here we can kind of see, so we see closure, set global, return. These are operations that are covered in this Lua guide right here. So down here you see closure, and so we, you know, definitely you'll have to read all of these. But yeah, this tells about the closure operation. Set global here. Well, okay, set global is here, and we go to this section, we'll read about what set global 00 means. And return right here. Well, so this is the return code that we have defined in this manual, return from function call, and then we can learn what return 010 means if we go read about return. Likewise with new table, load k, set list, set load nil. All those are operations that we can read about in this manual here. Okay, so, and then there's this button right here where this will attempt to decompile the Lua bytecode to Lua source code. And it doesn't work very well. Like here, okay, screw it, it didn't work. Let's go back to PC Lua code. And so if we went through all of these files right here in this LVL, parent equal, 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 equal. This is nice because it knows we basically already have the source code for it in the mod tools. Okay, now let's select a mission. Let's select hopefully an easy one. I don't think Geonosis is difficult. Let's check that one. Okay. So this is what the PC source is on my hard drive. And then if we were to try to decompile this with this operation right here, let's see what happens. Got lucky. So what this did was it used the Luac listing, and then it ran through that listing through the decompiler and comes up with this. And this is probably pretty close to what the code is. Because this is showing in this screen right here doesn't mean that it's 100% correct. Sometimes it can be wrong. And I'll show you how to verify how it, or if it's correct or not. But let's show, let's see here, another feature. Oh yeah, okay. I'm going to show off Luac from the command line for the listings. Let's see. Okay, so another feature that I wanted to mention is this extracting stuff right here. Okay, so there's all these scripts in this mission file. We can use this extract scripts button to extract them to, and I call it .luac. There's no real convention for it, but that just means the compiled, the output of the Lua compiler. And we could also do it as a .script, which is, well, let's just do it right now. Extract the scripts, and it's going to save it in the directory where the tool belong or is inside of. Okay, so it created this extracted folder, and you know the unmunch tool will also extract these scripts, and they're in .script format. So it's like, well, okay, that's fine, but let's get rid of all those and let's do extract to Luac instead. Okay, now they're in Luac. We still, let's see, I think this thing shows binary. Yeah, Sublime shows, so this isn't a text file, so it's still not really useful for us. But if we open up the command line, let's see here. No, I'm in C. Okay. Let's take this first one right here. Ambush.luac. Oh, I need the we'll make a copy of that. Just put it in here for demonstration purposes. Okay. And let's take a look at what its help message is. It's not as nice of a it's not a Windows program that abides by this help message per se. Usually the educational tools are going to use the sort of the Linux standard of it's either -H or -- help. That's the Linux standard. Let's see if it supports the -- help. Unrecognized option. Good enough. Okay. So usage, Luac options, file names. And then the one that we're going to use is the -L for list. So let's see here. We're going to go Luac -L ambush. Ambush.luac. See what happens. Okay, it basically just prints out this listing right here. And all this really does is it translates the bytecode that we saw right here. And this is the bytecode. It's hard for us to read that, but there's a one-to-one relationship between that bytecode and this listed code right here. So this is easy for us to see, and the listing is just sort of human readable, which is nice. Now let's say that just prints to the command line. If we wanted to put that into a file, we want to use this operator right here, this redirection operator. That's how I end up having to save the listing results, is I have to just redirect it to a file like that. And so then if we take ambush.list and take a look at it, see it's the same here. And sometimes this is useful. This is useful to look for strings sometimes. I don't know. Besides decompiling, sometimes I do that to search for string IDs or something. Okay. Okay, so there's it can extract a Luac or a script. So this tool can also, I don't really recommend changing these. You could do it, and I don't recommend doing it much, but in this case, we could change the script, and we'd have to make sure it was exactly the same size, and then we would save the script changes, and it would modify the LVL. I don't really recommend doing that, though. This right here will tell us the code size, so that, like, if we were to change this up here, code size is going to change, because it's going to take this as source code, compile it, and then it's going to tell us the new size. Okay, here we go. Code size. All right, we increased the code size by 33 bytes, and we could get those 33 bytes back by removing other code in here that was unused. All this code in here is used, but we could also get rid of that code or that size by reducing the size, or reducing by eliminating some of the strings or some of the characters in the strings. I won't talk any more about that. But let's see here. Let's go back to the PC Lua size, and let's go back to this right here. So if we wanted to verify that this code was the same as the PC Lua, we have this other program, Code Helper. Now this is meant to, this side is meant to host the listing, and this side is meant to host the source code. All right, so here's the source code right here. Oh, well, let's take the decompiled source. That might be different. Let's check it out. Paste that over in here. Now let's take the listing. Okay, now we have this compare listings button down here. What this compare listings button is going to do is it's going to take this source code, take this Lua source code, it's going to compile it with Luac, and then it's going to call Luac-L to get the listing of what it is. Once it has that, it's then going to take this text that we have over here, and it's going to compare them in a comparison program. Now, my favorite comparison program is called Beyond Compare, and I'll leave a link in the description to what that is. Here's the website for Beyond Compare. It does cost money, but there's a trial version. There's a trial version too, so you can see if you like it before you buy it. There's also this other one that I've used in the past called ExamDiff, which is fine. It looks like this. It's fine. It's just not as good. But they have a freeware version, and they also have a paid version. So now we'll hit this compare button. And so I programmed it to look for a certain version of Beyond Compare. It couldn't find it, but I do have another version on here, so I'll click yes. I want to navigate to a diff tool on my computer. We'll hit yes. And the version of Beyond Compare that I have installed is in here. bcompare.exe. Okay. Okay. And so we'll look at this. And when we see these closure IDs, they're going to be different. Like we have a different ID in here than we do here. These closure IDs, they will be different. So don't worry about it when you see the closure IDs differing, and that's the only difference. That's fine. But let's look a little bit further down. Okay, so there is some difference here between the decompiled source and the actual listing code. Mostly it's the same. And it might be functionally equivalent too, but I'm not going to guarantee it's functionally equivalent. Let's see if we can see where it's different. Load K1, and then we have a get global, set team aggressiveness. Okay, so this is saying load K1. What does this mean? Well, we have to go to our guide here, and I have a cheat sheet about what page number this stuff is on. So if we wanted to look up load K, what page is that on? It's on page 16. So let's take a look at that real quick. Load K. Oops. Loads constant number bx into register A. Okay. So what this is saying right here is this is the register we're going to load the thing into, and in this case, 1 is the value we're going to load into it. So let me close that for a second. This is called Geo1 Ccon. So when I'm reversing this, usually I'll do, let's see. Okay. Open that with Notepad++. And since we are starting with this code. Just paste it in there. Let's go back to our comparison and compare it again. Now this session, it remembered where the tool was, so it's not going to prompt you again until you close the program and start it back up. But okay, so right here, we're in this function. We're in this yeah, so, and also I should mention that closure is basically, that's just a function. Okay, so this function, let's see what it's called. Okay. We have, of course, since this is a mission file, there's post load and script in it, right? And so in this is the main part of the function. This is going to define a few things, and then it's going to define the functions. So it does this stuff, and then it defines the functions. And if we take a look at the source code right here, get global script cb do file. Oh, yep, there's that thing right there. Load K, objective conquest. Okay, that goes in register 1, call 0, 2, 1. So we could look up call to see what that does, but it's basically just calling a function. And I think 0 means don't save any of the return values, but I'd have to look it up to be sure. I constantly go back to that manual when I'm decompiling to look up things. And so, yeah, that's this one. And then we do, we have a do file, setup teams, and then we, yeah, so it's similarly, it's going to be script cb, a get global on script cb do file, and then a load k on setup teams, and then a call. And then we have a closure, get global on that closure, and we're going to set it to the name of script post load. And so this closure is defined, and then it's going to set the name of it to script post load. And similarly, we're going to define a closure, and then we're going to set its name to script in it, like that, right there. And so, yeah, we were going to go a little bit further to make this code more correct. And like I said before, it might actually be functionally equivalent, but it also may not be. So let's see here. Right after we call read data file on in-game LVL, it says it's going to do a load K. It's going to do a bunch of load Ks. Okay. Let's find out where they. Okay, here's read data file there. Load K, that's usually, it's very often, in this case, it's after a function call. That's usually my key. That's going to go into a local variable. And in this case, local variable is going to be register 0. So I like to do R0. And load K, this is a constant, load K constant, and it's just giving us a hint right here. What constant is it? It's 1. 1, okay? And we're going to do that for 3 other variables. Local R1 equals 2. Local R3, for register 3, of course, equals 1. Local R4 equals 2. Yeah, and some of you familiar with mission scripting are going to notice that pattern. They're never going to be called R0, R3, R4, but you know it's just a local variable, so it doesn't necessarily matter. It's a global variable. Those need to stay around defined as those names so that we can reference them from other places in Lua. But then let's see. Okay, so let's do let's see if we were right. So we'll uh, do a Control A and copy all of that stuff. We'll close this down. And then we'll paste it in here to see if we got closer. Okay, scroll down, scroll down. Yeah. Okay, and it looks like, yeah, so we got closer. Those load Ks that we had mismatched before, we got them. Okay, and so then let's see what's next. Move into 5. What's actually we have to look at our manual. Let's look at our manual again. Looking at move. What is move? Move is on page 15 according to my cheat sheet. Move copies the value of register B into register A. Okay, let's take a look. Register B into register A. So this is going to say, and in the terms of the manual, this is A, B, and C. Arguments A, B, and C to that operation. So we're going to copy the value of register B into register A. And so we'll, let's see, what does that look like? Go over to my Notepad++, where it is, there it is. Oh, but first it does a set team aggressiveness. Okay, and it's put set team aggressiveness in register 4. Oh, and I screwed these names up though. It's going to be R0, R1, and it's going to be R2, R3. I meant for these to follow the registers. Like here, this one is register 0, register 1, register 2, register 3. Register 4 gets set team aggressiveness. Okay, and that's going to go into register 4, and then we're going to move what's in 1, register 1, into 5. And we're going to do that because that's how Lua calls functions. It's going to set things in like a stack. It's going to say this is the first item in the stack, and then we're going to put its arguments next. What's in register 1? Well, for us, that's R1. R1. Okay, and then we're going to load 1 into register 6. Okay, just like that. Okay. Now let's take a look at that now. Copy that, paste it into here. Oh, so we got closer. We did get that one right. Okay. And so the next thing, we're going to do a set team aggressiveness. And then we're going to, okay, so with that one's good. Moving on to this one. Set team aggressiveness. Okay, now we're going to move into 5. What's in 0? Okay, so we had an R0. That's easy for me to remember, R0. Okay. And then we're going to load into register 6, the next register, the constant 1. Yeah, we did that. And then we're going to call it. Okay, so that should get us closer. Compare again, and boy, that got us a lot closer. Yeah, so we did get that right, and so then now basically we just keep on going. This won't take us too long to finish off. Let's just finish this one. Okay, so let's see here. Load K, so after add walker type 30, we're going to do a load K on 240. Let's see here. Where does add walker type at? Okay, there we go. And if you're familiar with mission scripting, you'll know that's usually weapon count. Yep, so we're going to make, this is going to, usually they have a local variable there. It helps to be familiar with the source code conventions too. Okay, so we're going to load 240 there. And that becomes register 4. We could have just said R4. I might as well just say R4 for this purpose. Okay. And then let's see here. We have some difference. Down here we have, okay, for ammo count, set memory pool size, ammo counter, move into 7, what's in 4? So that's going to be this thing. For the ammo counter. Okay. We did see the number we had was equivalent, but we're just going to, now we're going to correct it to make it exactly what the listing said, R4. Now let's take that. And as you get better, you wouldn't compare it for every operation that you do. Oh, what happened? Oh, I didn't actually close this. Okay. But for the sake of demonstration, we'll do that. Okay, so we're getting really close. We're getting really close. There's only a little bit of stuff left. Well, okay, there's a little bit of stuff left, but I don't know if I want to finish off decompiling this whole thing, but it did serve as a pretty good example on the method to use. Basically, it's you load up your listing. This is what you're targeting, and then you in here put in the source code of the Lua that you are trying to get back to what is in that file. So for a bit of a harder example, let's look at the instead of mission. Let's take a look at show. Now I have the 1.3 patch installed, so there's going to definitely be some differences. Okay, shell interface. Let's take a look at that. I didn't do the Lua part, but it does the listing. Let's take a look. Yeah, so it's different. Looking at the help, right? There is no code size match. So if we were gonna go to decompile this is the PC Lua code. We want to say, okay, this is pretty close. This is pretty close. So we'll take this, copy that, paste it over here, and then we'll get the listing over here. That'll become our target. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, and this is Zertid's 1.3 patch code. So he's going to be doing this other stuff. And so if we wanted to decompile this, we would use the same method that we did just for that mission file. This is a long and tedious process, and the video is a long video. But yeah, this is basically how I do it. The Diff tool and the and this PDF right here. That's pretty much the way to do it. Yeah, and sometimes I get stuck. Like the examples that I showed were simpler so that I wouldn't look like an idiot in the video. But yeah, they get to be tricky, and it can take some time. I often walk away and then come back to it later to uh, continue because I just get stuck sometimes. But sometimes I get ideas to move on. Well, I don't know that there's anything else I can really say. If you have any questions, reach out to me on Discord or in the Game Toast forums. I'll leave a link in the Game Toast forums, and I will leave links to other stuff that I presented in this video. So with that, I will say goodbye for now.